first thing we're going to do is actually mist our canvas with water. That just helps to more easily blend our colors. I usually just kind of wipe it with my hand. And then of course I'm going to mist my palette. And here you can also see I've got some foundation medium in a cup ready to go. I'm going to keep my mister bottle handy. Let's go ahead and take our flat blender brush, of which I'm going to dip into the foundation medium. I'm going to take some titanium white, take some cad yellow, take some yellow ochre, a little bit of red, that's probably too much. Let's go a little bit more of our Hansa yellow. Somewhere in there is going to be okay. And let's just start right up here and paint in a beautiful, beautiful little sunset or sunrise down here as well. Just a nice spot, beautiful bright spot there in the water. I like to go ahead and get the water and the sky done at the same time. Feel like it's easier. Let's add some more red and white to the mix. What that's going to do is be a nice color to transition from these beautiful golden tones into something that's a little bit softer, a little bit more subdued in color than that bright yellow. Now the other cool thing that's going to happen is we're going to float some blues, some blue tones around here, and this red will be a wonderful barrier so that we don't get green. A tiny little bit of green or kind of a turquoise in the sky is actually very realistic, but a lot is extremely distracting, so I don't want much, if any happens. Usually I don't want any, but a little bit won't hurt. Now I've got a little number 6 flat brush. I'm going to take some white and some blue and some red. What this is going to, and a little foundation medium, you can see that I put that in there. What this is going to do is create a nice soft underpaint tone for the little mountain back here. Actually, I think this is quite a bit too dark. Let me go ahead and lighten that up significantly. Let me see what this looks like. Because remember, acrylics do dry out darker. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Actually, there's a very distant little mountain back there. Just go ahead and get that in. A little bit more foundation medium, help it to flow. These are water-based acrylics, so if you need to get your hand in there and blend it, you can do that as well with your finger. Now before you go too much further, I'm going to take just a little yellow ochre and throw in with that color, yellow ochre. Not cad yellow, because the cad yellow will actually create green faster than yellow ochre. Yellow ochre does not create green nearly as fast. And I want to have some of these, some of these mountains with more of a yellow ochre feel to the base, like so. There we go. Now it's nice and dry. I like using a hairdryer to speed things up. You don't have to if you don't want to. Of course, I've been misting my paints constantly with the squirt bottle just so that I know that I've got wet paint not going to dry out. Okay, up here I want some highlights. I'm going to take some white and some yellow ochre. Because we're painting with a little tiny bit of cad yellow, because we're painting with acrylics, we might as well take full advantage of what acrylics are good at, which is layering. So I'm going to use those yellow tones, which in oil would be very kind of tough without getting a bunch of green snow. There we go. What I'm going to do is just create a few soft patches of highlight. A few soft patches of highlight. Actually softer over here. What I can do is I can just take this color and drift it like so across this whole area, and it's just warming it up. Remember, everything's dry, so I'm not worried about this. It's not going to be a problem. Here's some more cad yellow, white. Cad yellow and white. Yellow ochre, a little foundation medium. Not too much of the medium. The more the medium that you add, what happens is it actually ends up being transparent. Transparent is not good when you're trying to do highlights, usually. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little foundation medium, kind of rub into the brush, just on the towel there. I'm going to just kind of scumble through here and create just a tone in my darks. What that's going to do is, it just kind of creates a mist or just something else on the back side of my mountain. So it's not just blank, but I don't have to go on to a full-on shadow. You know what I mean? It's not necessary in this painting today. I'm just gonna kind of mist it. There we go. This is called dry brush blending or glazing. And it just helps to push that back into the painting. Once that dries, you'll find that it actually, a lot of the mountain kind of comes back. And it won't be so overpowering as it is right now, but I'm just gonna take, actually I may, just to be totally safe, now that I say that, I may just take a watery brush. A watery brush and sort of cut through some of that and just bring that, make sure that that one comes back. Just want to make sure that this mountain doesn't get too covered. Okay, let me just continue now working with these yellow tones. I just want to make sure that I have a nice softness to the base of this mountain. There it is. I'm actually going to take some white, and honestly all this is fine in here, just this leftover blue and white and red. I'm going to add more red to it and then add some yellow as well. What does the yellow do? It just helps to tie it together with color. I'm going to paint trees. A little green tone is okay, but it's mostly going to be brown, isn't it? There we go. Mostly going to be brown, and that's okay. That'll dry out a shade darker. Make a note of that. So I'm gonna lighten it up one shade, so when it dries, it'll be just the way I want it. Now, right up here, you can see as this dried, it exposed this line, is beginning to show back through. You could build that up a couple more layers if you wanted pure solid mist, but instead what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring my tree line up over and cover intentionally that line. Ooh, I'm gonna go one shade brighter because I feel like that's perfect. And they'll dry out darker, so if I like it now, it won't work later. So make sure that you make that adjust. Anyway, I'm just taking the side of the brush. This is the trick to these little trees. Just turn the brush on the side. You can do it left or right-handed, it wouldn't matter. And you can just come in here and touch. And I'm just using kind of the shape of the brush and the bristles to do a lot of the work for me, really, to create these little misty background trees. And you can go back as you run out of paint and lift a few of them up, like so. Real soft, real soft. And then, if you need to give it a rub, you can. I'm just gonna take some white and tap along the bottom. That'll create just a little layer of mist along the bottom. There we go. Just real soft, real soft, like that. Brush strokes are not super important here. Just try to get it on. There we go. In fact, I was going pretty slow just as I was showing you, but you can do it a lot faster. Do it a lot faster. All right, let's go up here. I'm gonna paint in these beautiful backlit evergreen trees. Let me show you how I loaded that brush because I did it awfully quick. I just kind of smush that brush in and pull it out. And I've got some texture on the brush. This is a natural bristle brush, and it actually, the bristles themselves are hollow. I don't know if you knew that or not, but they're hollow bristles in this brush, number 4 flat brush. And they absorb the water. And what that means is not only does it hold quite a bit of paint, but it actually, it creates all of these little, you see how the brush is going like it's had a terrible hair day. And that's because it's absorbing the water. And it creates some amazing effects, doesn't it? So cool. And I really appreciate that because it's just stuff I don't have to do, I like having an old, it's not an old, brand new one, I'll do the same thing, but I like having a brush that has a lot of good texture to it. There we go. This tree here, let's go ahead and, I don't know how much of this backlighting I want on this tree, but let's go ahead and just paint some. If we cover 99 or 100% of it, that's fine. Totally fine. I like that. Is that perfect? No. Will it work? I think so. There we go. A little bit more. Soft. Just got color. See, I'm just doing my highlight first, my backlight. See, when you're doing a backlight, you're literally doing it backwards. So you do your lights first, then your darks second. That's the only way to make it look backlit. And there we go. I want to go ahead and place on some highlight to this clump of beautiful trees. Oh, they're going to be so pretty with the with the snow clumps on their hanging off the limbs. Oh, good stuff. Look at that, see that? Create all that interest. Soften with my finger. Of course, these are not backlit so much. I do think having a little warmth in that color, a little more red, a little more yellow might be prettier. Can we just toss that in? Yeah, why not? Why not? Yeah, a lot of that beautiful yellow tone. Yeah, sometimes a little smudge goes a long way, doesn't it? Okay, for the sake of the lesson, I don't want to paint too much where I'm thinking that it's going to get covered. So yeah, so that's just a waste of our painting time. We could be doing something else. I'm starting to dry here on the palette. Let's go ahead and give it a quick mist. Very good. See, by having all these colors, this is what works. This is what makes it look so beautiful. And honestly, I've got plans here. I've got plans for doing some mist over top of this whole thing. I think it could be really cool. It's my plan is to push a lot of this back with mist. Got some stumpy evergreens. Because see, not every evergreen in the forest should be tall. So you've got to have some short ones to replace these when these get hit by the bark beetle. There we go. Some frostiness. Okay, let me pick up some of my crusty leftover paint and try to get some shadow worked in. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, yeah, I'm just trying to break up some of anything that's just a little sharp or symmetrical, really, more than sharp. Try to get rid of that now. Stand back. Okay, take a little bit more of my yellow, white, yellow. Just put a little highlight on those. A little accent highlight. Ooh, that almost looks like a third one growing or something there. I don't know, does it? Looks like almost two. Anyway, doesn't matter. Let's let that dry. I'm going to paint in now some snow. So for the snow, I'm going to go with maybe a little bit more of a reddish, just a little bit more of a reddish tone, a little tinge of blue, not much. I'm going to paint some of that beautiful snow going up. There we go. Hey, I can use that. Just the ocean, I'm so sorry. The lake there as my underpainting. There we go. There we go. Yeah, and then let that feather out into kind of nothing, and that's okay. It's kind of pretty. I'm going to take some cad yellow, white, little yellow ochre, and right in here, I'm going to create some beautiful patches of light water. Just like so, nice and flat and straight. Oh yeah, it's good. And just soften the edges, because I don't think I want sharp edges back there. But yeah, that looks like soft water. Does it look flat? Yeah, kind of. Could be a little better. Could be a little brighter on this side. I don't know if that's going to be enough, but once it dries, we'll make a choice. Down here as well. I want to make sure that this is nice and bright. There it is. All those little variations are not a problem. This is mostly going to be shadow in here. Here's a trick. Tilt your mister bottle down. Do not squirt this part. Tilt it down. So you got it facing the floor, and I'm going to just hit only where I want it for the reflection. If you do it up in there, you could cause problems, but just down here where I know I want it. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow this to just flow. And there I can create little trees. I'm not going perfect. I'm just trying to get some of this color in there. Nice and, oh yeah, nice and dark. See a little green in there, but I don't think it's really gonna hurt anything as I mix it and blend it in. The green just came from the back of the brush. I'm not sure necessarily where it came from, other than just the back of the brush. Mixed from somewhere. I've got a number 4 bristle brush. I'm gonna dip that into my foundation medium. I'm gonna take some yellow, red, cad yellow, white, and with this, add a little mud, not much. Like, oh, I don't have mud. We'll take a little umber. That's mud. There we go. And I'm going to just right about tell, well, goodbye trees. Right about here. Place in a little color. Darken it with some more orange, more red to make kind of an orangey. Boom, boom, boom. Red is a foreground color, and it's perfectly welcome in my tree. I'm just trying to get the outline. I mean, you can imagine we're just doing a backlit, well, not really backlit, but kind of a bit backlit. There's some red, blue, burnt umber, kind of a bit backlit. Red, blue, and burnt umber. Just kind of make a cool, beautiful gray color. And I'm going to work that down. There we go. Do you know what? It's time for black and brown. Because what that black and brown does is it creates contrast that you really can't get very easily using those other colors. So I'm going for the contrast. I've got another limb section right there. Oh yeah, it's a nice and interesting little old tree. There it is. Wipe the brush off. Now this is acrylic. They do not layer well while wet, so it may be best to let this dry. I'm gonna see if I can just tap along this edge to feather it, but it's probably gonna be best to let that dry before we go too far. All right, we're gonna do something I don't necessarily usually do with a snow painting, but I'm gonna cover the tree mostly with snow. Of course, just red, blue, and white is my color. With my number 4 bristle brush, fairly dark, because this is going to be shadowy snow to begin with. You know what I mean? It's as if it was like a blizzard or something. That's exactly what happened. We had like a crazy storm, and this is now after the storm. We got all this interesting, I'm going to go a little darker, all this interesting pattern of snow here on these trees. So cool. Yeah, you know what? Okay, like that. Plenty of moisture in the form of foundation, meaning we could use water, just clumps. And then when I muddle it with my finger, that's gonna help a lot, actually. And this is definitely gonna need to be integrated here into the landscape on the bottom. And this is realistic, you know, when things are covered in snow, for those of you that live where it snows, which I do now, yay. Things like the bottom of trees, you do lose them. You don't necessarily see where the bottom of the tree starts and the landscape stops. You know what I mean? So that's okay. So if you're like, oh, I don't have a lot of separation, that's okay. I think that's realistic. Now I'm gonna go ahead and take my foundation medium with some titanium white. Get that involved there, that looks pretty good. Take some yellow and yellow, yeah. A little red just for fun. Mostly white, mostly white. Mostly white. Okay, make sure when you're doing this, you're not getting any kind of yellow, or not yellow, but blue in your yellow. Yeah. Because that would be tough to deal with. So let's go up here and let's begin to just highlight. Now I allowed this evergreen tree to dry so that it's ready to go. Oh, it's pretty. And obviously these are required because we've got yellow, that's gotta have yellow here too. And in all reality, we'll put some yellow over on those trees. We gotta keep it consistent. I'm not a fan of when my painting looks like, or when I look at another painting and it looks like it's disjointed in color. It really needs to feel like it's one painting, not two paintings. And part of that's by keeping your colors really, really working together. Really working together. That's what I'm doing here. Softness there. Softness, 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 soft. Little highlights. Let me see. Yeah, that looks good. That looks good. It wouldn't even hurt to touch and texturize that just a little. It's so close. A little texture, I don't think would be a bad thing. It's not. I don't think I want to do it completely throughout, but it wouldn't hurt here and there, would it? Nope, not at all. Good. Some of this is sticking out and sparkling in the sun. Oh, it is definitely sparkling, isn't it? Haha, I love that. Okay. Oh, you know what I haven't done in a while is misted my palette. So I'm about to lose some of those colors that I still like to keep and use. There we go. Like that pink, that leftover pink, just red and white mainly. Okay. What I need to do also, I got to figure out how am I going to, there we go. How am I going to soften, well, I like that, because some of those evergreen needles, you know, would have like a frostiness to them, potentially. Yeah, like that. In fact, that's softening, isn't it? That's definitely helping. Let me stand back. Everything I'm doing here is really helping to kind of create that look of, boom. Yeah, that's nice. Thick, heavy snow covered area. So now I'm going to take my microfilbert brush and some yellow, and white. And I tell you what, I'm really not going to add any water or medium to it. Let's just try it like this, because I want that to be pure and as opaque as possible. When you add medium, it makes it flow much better, but it also makes it dry transparent. So what I'm going to do with that is just create a final glow of that yellow snow onto these areas here. The foreground and some of these kind of mid-ground things. Over here before it dries. Too late. It's not dry here yet though. Let's go ahead and get in some of this. Scrub down like that into some of the snow. It needs more yellow ochre. It's got too much of the cad yellow in it for my taste, for this painting, for this area. But oh yeah, it sprinkles that up. Adds that next little bit of just bright, beautiful color. I've got some leftover. This is just blue, red, and white, but it's leftover, so I'm just going to use it. But it's mostly white, 99%. Well, maybe 98% white. It's just a little bit of an off color there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, and I've just the tiniest bit of it, I mean very, very little. And I'm just going to make this water look a little colder. Just float a little. Maybe it's nearly frozen or something like that. I'm just going to float a little bit of that. Oh, I like that. I'll go right over my tree because it'll dry transparent. You won't even notice. Okay, a little bit more. Just a little. Yeah, a little bit of that here and there. I think it's nice. Does it do a lot? No. Does it do a little? Yeah, what little it does helps. Makes it look a little more watery. Some of this stuff that's honestly a little closer makes it look a little bit more watery. It helps it to look better. Okay, let's go ahead and grab the liner brush with some water, and I'm going to get some leftover dark purple, red, blue, and a little bit of white. And what I'm going to do with that is bring out some of these limbs here. So basically finishing the limbs where I started them. I'm just going to finish them. Load up a little more paint. Plenty of water. Without the water, it won't flow. And it won't be as nice. You know, it'll be kind of scratchy. It's got the flow. There it is. Oh, wow. Then you can put in thousands of little limbs if you want them. You put in as few or as many as you like. It wouldn't hurt to practice this on a scrap canvas till you kind of at least get the hang of it before you start going up here, because these are definitely hard to fix. I will say that. So just be wise about it. If you're not super careful or comfortable with them, then you need to be careful and don't do too many. You know, just do a few until you're more comfortable, because there's no reason to mess up your painting just because I put in so many, maybe you need less. That sounds like it's like, oh, really? But yeah, until you practice it, sometimes it's easier just to do less. That's okay. Well, that wraps things up for today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Don't forget to check out our website, DVDs, brush line, and Patreon. Thanks for watching. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Remember to subscribe if you're not already, and click the like button. That helps me out a lot. Stick around, watch a couple more videos, and stay inspired.